of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy who always keeps his ducks in a row, Mike Van de Bogart.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you once again to all of our loyal listeners for tuning in. Just a few updates before we get going here. We got some new Patreon shout-outs, so thank you to Becca Cohn, Sarah Trice, Sherry Jackson, Jamie Buell, Les Eller, and Adam Parker, who's a family member. So thank you to all of you and Adam for supporting the show.
Is he at $100 a month?
No. No.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And an episode suggestion shout out to Allison Carlson. This was actually pretty funny. I was starting to research figuring out what episode to do, and she happened to email us while I was unsure of what to do, and I looked up this case and it seemed interesting. So thank you, Allison, for recommending it. If you want to call the show and leave a voicemail, let us know how you feel about the show, about us, anything we say, you can call 208-391-6913. And finally, just if you want to help support the show, you can go over to a couple different places now. So obviously we're on Patreon. That will get you the most bang for your buck. There's some swag that you get when you sign up. Early release episodes and additional Patreon-only episodes. We're doing one right after this on some Bigfoot cases. Should be very fun.
When Bigfoot attacks.
Yes. And we now have YouTube memberships. This is basically you can get ad-free episodes and our early Patreon-only episodes on YouTube. And soon we will be launching premium subscriptions on Apple. So pretty much the same.
Is Apple gonna take like 80% of the revenue on that?
Well, they take a good cut.
Yeah, all right. So don't sign up for that one. Sign up for Patreon.
Patreon actually takes more.
Sign up for Apple.
And on Apple it'll just be similar to YouTube memberships where you'll get exclusive member only episodes. So those are a couple ways you can support the show. You can also buy some swag and tell your friends about us. So that's all I had.
All right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore Locations Unknown. August 21st, 2022. A very experienced hiker, backpacker, and mountain climber sets out to summit Split Mountain in California. He was climbing with friends he met on a social media for a one-day summit on this mountain. After being separated from his group, he was never seen again. Join us this week as we investigate the strange disappearance of Quang Dan. Split Mountain is a 14,045-foot mountain in the John Muir Wilderness near Big Pine on the Sierra Nevada crest, close to the boundary between the National Park Kings Canyon National Park and the National Forest Inyo National Forest. Kings Canyon National Park is roughly 461,900 acres. I'm having like a hard time already today, and we just started. It's ever since that, if you guys are patron listeners, if you're not, you really need to pay, even if it's just for a month, to go back to our last listener comment show. That was ridiculous. It was so good, but it's got me all tripped up now. I can't read good.
Yeah.
After I talked good, like, can't read good. So yeah, if you'll think it's funny if you're a patron supporter. So there you go. There's a little hint there. The John Muir Wilderness is 652,700 acres. So there's some big areas, and just like most of California, beautiful parks, wilderness areas. They've kind of got everything over there.
Yeah, and this area is just jam-packed with parks. And so you've got Kings Canyon National Park, and then directly to the south, sharing a border with it, is Sequoia National Park. And then obviously you have Inyo National Forest.
That's those really big trees, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got the Inyo National Forest to the east of the parks. You've got the Sierra National Forest kind of to the northwest, and then Sequoia National Forest to the west. And the John Muir Wilderness is kind of mixed in with the Inyo and Sierra National Forests. So a lot of stuff going on. And both those parks are managed jointly.
It makes sense. They're basically like connected almost. Yeah,
so you hear a lot of people just call it Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park.
Yeah, I think if you get the maps from National Geographic, they just merge it into one.
Yeah.
They have like 2 or 3 maps for the whole area, but they merge it. So Kings Canyon National Park sees roughly just shy of 500,000 visitors. This is 2022 numbers.
2020.
2020 numbers. 2022. Like as well.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sequoia was the first park created to protect a living organism. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Some other facts. Before Kings Canyon, there was General Grant National Park. Sequoia is home to the tallest mountain in the lower 48, which is Mount Whitney at 14,494 feet. Sequoias are some of the largest and oldest trees in the world. They can live over 3,000 years and grow as tall as 180 feet to 250 feet.
It's tall.
Gee, I've never seen them. My wife has gone. Some of my kids have gone when she was there on business, and I mean,
I have not seen a sequoia tree either in person.
That's got to be wild. I mean, that's taller than most buildings.
Yeah, I mean that's
a tree. That's insane.
Yeah, it's like a 25-story tree.
That's so wild. So the parks have over 800 miles of trails. Mountaineering is very popular in this park.
Yeah, and anyone who's ever gone there, there's a lot of peaks to climb, which would explain why it's a popular destination.
I'm going to pull it. I'm not sharing it yet, but I'll just pull up the...
Okay, while you're pulling, I can go into climate a little.
Yeah, do the Köppen climate classification system.
Our friends at the Köppen climate classification system.
I love talking about it like it's an actual place where people work.
Probably is.
I don't think it is.
It's probably a government organization. Probably
it's just like an office in DC.
It's one person.
Or it's probably in Sweden.
Yeah,
it's like it's right in the middle of CERN. It's the center of the CERN. So they do the thing around them, and they just talk about the climate. None of that is true.
None of that's true. That is all false. So most of Kings Canyon National Park has a warm summer Mediterranean climate, with only the lowest of elevations having a hot summer Mediterranean climate. Average temps vary pretty widely in the park. You've got upper 70s in July and August to lows ranging from the mid-20s and 30s in November to April. Same with just like temperatures, rainfall varies quite a bit depending on what time of year you go. You can get 8 inches of rain on average in January to as little as 0.16 inches in September. And June through September are typically very dry months in the park. Park also gets a lot of snow depending on where you are. Average snowfall ranges from 44.8 inches in February to no snow from July to September. And December to March are the snowiest months of the year. And in all, the park gets about 186 inches of snow every year, which is mainly in the upper elevations. So what are you're pulling up all trails?
Yeah, it's whatever reason, Google Earth has been like lagging.
Yeah.
They've had an update and it's been lagging. So if anyone listens, it's a Google engineer. Google Earth is lagging when I click and drag. So you're at terrain. I'll take it up from there.
Yeah.
So Kings Canyon National Park features terrain similar to Yosemite Valley. With its deep valleys, skyscraping trees, and distinctive rock outcroppings, Kings Canyon National Park is the place that John Muir once called a rival to Yosemite. So
Them are fighting words.
it's beautiful.
It is.
It's like, which park's more great?
Yeah.
The park is named after Kings Canyon, which is carved out of the meandering King River. Along with Kings Canyon, the park is renowned for the steep, rugged, and sometimes vertical reliefs across this part of the Sierra Nevada mountains. The park is generally divided into two distinct sections: the smaller and older western section and the larger eastern section. Most tourist facilities are located in the western part of the park near Grant Grove. Grant Grove houses the park's infamous sequoias, including General Grant, the second largest tree in the world, and that's measured by the trunk's volume. What they're saying, I think the tallest one, right, that we talked about this in other episodes, it's hidden. They don't tell you where it is. Like, you can't find it.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere. Someone will correct us if we're wrong, but I think I think some people might know its location, but they do not.
They don't advertise it.
Yeah, advertise it.
Obviously, some people know.
Yeah,
but they don't like doing it so people don't mess with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, because humans are stupid, and we would go there and just destroy it.
Yeah, be like, I want to chop down the tree and build 14 houses out of it.
Yeah.
The eastern section of the park contains the majority of the park's area and is almost entirely wilderness. Cedar Grove, which sits at the bottom of Kings Canyon, is the only part of the eastern section that is accessible by road and is the most popular destination for travelers looking to explore the more rugged reaches of the canyon. That's where we would go.
Yeah.
Kings Canyon's impressive mountainous landscape contains several Sierra Crest peaks that exceed 14,000 feet in elevation, including North Palisades, the third highest mountain in the Sierra Nevada range, Mount Sill, Pulmonium Peak. We're going to get so much hate. Pulmonium Peak.
I think.
Split Mountain and Thunderbolt Peak.
Thunderbolt Peak sounds like they get a lot of lightning.
Yeah, or it gets none.
Yeah,
it's like
ironically named.
like Little John.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Pulmonium
Peak.
There we go.
Someone's going to comment like, I hate your show. I live next to that mountain and you said it wrong. I'm angry now at everything you do. And for those of you wondering why I said that, become a patron supporter and listen to our call-ins and customer complaints.
Yes.
Okay. Nearby, craggy, iconic Sierra Nevada summits like Middle Palisades and Disappointment Peak, just like my dad says about me. No, I'm just kidding. My dad likes me. And Mount Stanford reach well beyond 13,000 feet. Disappointment Peak. That's hilarious. Like the guy who named it tried summiting several times and just could never make it.
Right.
The Sierra Crest forms the eastern boundary of the park from Mount Goth to north to the Junction Peak at the boundary of Sequoia National Park. The park's highest peaks also retain permanent snowfields and glaciers, like Palisade Glacier, the largest in the Sierras, which is located near the park's edge in the John Muir Wilderness. Needless to say, although the park is best known for its stunning forested landscape, it contains plenty of alpine regions to explore. Hanging valleys, cascading waterfalls, and serrated ridges that can be found scattered throughout the high country. Like nearby Yosemite Valley, U-shaped glacial valleys found in Kings Canyon are characterized by the flat floors and exposed craggy granite cliffs and domes. Glacial features like Tepet Dome, the largest granite dome in the Sierras, rise abruptly from the valley floor. I'm going to do that one too.
Okay.
Here we go.
Tehipite.
Tehipite.
You were way off.
I was way off. That's right. So some of the dangers that are present. Animals, bobcats and mountain lions. So occasionally seen, they're usually watching you and you don't know it. Bobcats are slightly larger than a house cat and have bob tails. In comparison, mountain lions are much larger and have long tails. I was just a guy that was at my party this weekend that I went in the Rockies with. We were talking about it. We were at our first camp climbing up Long's Peak.
Yeah.
And it was close enough to the parking lot at night. One of our guys was missing something, and we were the two most experienced. We're like, we will hike down to the parking lot, get the stuff, and come back. And it was night. We're hiking down, and we're just looking around because it's beautiful out. Shine the lights up. 8 feet above us on a ledge, just two giant eyes, just glowing, just staring at us.
Was it a mountain lion or bobcat?
It was a mountain lion.
Yeah.
It was following us the whole time.
It
wasn't like an attack, but it was like checking us out. It was the most terrifying thing ever. So we stuck, close together and had the bear spray ready. Those are scary. That's just like when we were in Nevada. We woke up and all the prints were around our tents.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't hear a thing. And they were like circling our tents. They were pretty big paw prints. And we're like, did anyone hear it? Nope.
Yeah, we had in Canada, like one of the first couple years I was hiking, we were camping one night, and probably 20 feet away from our tents were grizzly tracks.
Yeah.
We found the next morning that were fresh. We're like, well, that's terrifying.
Yeah, you just slept right through it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they could have killed us if they wanted to.
We did have proper bear storage of our food, so he couldn't smell anything in our camp, so it's probably why he kept moving.
Yeah, or he did smell you, and that's why he kept moving. So fully grown, mountain lions can weigh between 70 and 180 pounds, and if seen, would appear bigger than a large dog. Mountain lions usually run off when seen. If you see a mountain lion that doesn't run, do not run. Running may trigger pursuit. Pick up children. Try to appear as large as possible. Do not crouch down. Hold your ground and back away slowly while facing the cougar. If the cougar acts aggressively, wave your hands and shout. Throw some stones or sticks at it. If attacked, fight back. This also works in LA. I'm never gonna let that go.
Yeah.
There's lots of cougars there. Black bears. Black bears, though not always black, are found throughout Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. They forage for natural food, digging up roots in meadows, ripping apart logs, and peering into tree cavities for insects. Unfortunately, when human food becomes available, they learn to forage for human food in place of natural food because it's full of sugar and it tastes amazing.
Yeah.
If they obtain our food even just one time, bears begin to break into cars, tents, and cabins. They can become aggressive towards people to obtain that food. So while visiting the park, you can protect the bears by storing camping food properly and viewing wildlife at a safe distance. Leave no trace.
And in areas where there are grizzlies, they'll even go a step further, and if there's a grizzly that's been attacking campsites, they'll actually go out there and shoot it. Yep. So
that was happening while we were out in Glacier.
Yeah.
They were going to euthanize one.
Yeah, so it's just really important that you follow all the rules with storing your food. It will save the bear's life and potentially save yours if a hungry bear comes walking by your tent.
Well, and how many grizzlies do we have in lower 48? Isn't it like only 500 or 600? It's a small number.
I don't want to say a number because there seems to be a lot of grizzly experts that listen.
Yeah.
And we don't need to clog up the voicemail line on bear comments, but I think Alaska has a good supply of them.
I'm so wrong. I think that might have been like in California. I remember doing an episode where he said it was like only in the hundreds. It says there's 60,000 wild grizzly bears are located throughout North America. Okay. But I'm guessing it's mostly Canada. Nope. 30,000 in Alaska, 29,000 in Canada. In the lower 48, it's around 1,000. Okay. So I wasn't too far off.
Okay.
So yeah. All right. So yeah, it's mostly in Canada and Alaska. So I did say lower 48. I said like 600, so I was only like 400 off.
Hey, you were off though.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get yelled at anyway. Even though I've corrected it, they're like, "Well, you were wrong."
Yeah.
1-star review, and I hope something terrible happens to you. There are also rattlesnakes. I'm gonna keep going. Rattlesnakes are common in Sequoia foothills and Kings Canyon at low elevations where you put your hands and feet. So do not harass or kill them. This is when most bites occur. Bites are rarely lethal, but tissue damage can be severe.
And keep an eye out when you're rounding trail corners. Like we were hiking out in.
We were going to.
Oh, we were with Ben.
Yep.
We were going to that weird amphitheater place where we found the guy who said he invented Disney songs. I can't remember his name now.
Oh, his trail name?
Yeah.
We said it in another episode.
But yeah, remember we were kind of coming around a curve on a trail and there was a rattlesnake on it, and I've never seen Ben jump that high into the air.
He had like a 6-foot vertical.
Yeah.
Like off a back foot. Like he jumped. He could have jumped over us.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
But you got to keep an eye out too. Like you may be tired and you're kind of just, if you're on a meandering, winding trail, the snakes will come out and, in the sunlight. And
well, that was after the rainfall. So all of them were out on the rocks getting like their heat back because it was so cold.
Yeah.
And yeah, he almost stepped on it. Didn't even notice it. It was hilarious. It was hilarious because nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Terrain can be an issue. High altitude. So many hiking trails in parks are at an elevation of 5,000 feet or above. For people not accustomed to hiking at elevation, your body may not be acclimated to its lower oxygen levels. This can cause shortness of breath, dehydration. Altitude illness can strike anyone at any time. Allow time for a slow ascent, adjusting gradually to the altitude, and be sure to drink plenty of water. Even at the higher altitudes, typically above 8,000 feet, altitude sickness can occur. Symptoms can be mild to moderate, include dizziness, fatigue, and headache, shortness of breath, and rapid heart rate. If you experience these symptoms, the best treatment is to descend to lower altitude, and that is literally it.
That's really the only way.
If you're getting bad, you have to go down.
Yeah.
And then you can, if you come back, you can try going up again. But there's like no pill or anything that will.
And
I mean, it might make you feel better, but if you're getting actually altitude sick, you have to descend.
And from what I've found from my experience in hiking in a high altitude and with other people is conditioning is a part of it, but I think a part of it is genetic. Some people just react differently to high altitude.
Yeah.
And you could be in the best condition of your life and you might still get sick at 7,000 feet and someone else doesn't.
Yeah, there always seems to be someone who just never does well.
Yeah.
But while I was just in Colorado, I shared those pictures. One of the guys in our group skis in Colorado regularly.
Yeah.
Like no issues. He was sick the entire time.
Yeah.
Like he had to get an IV. Like it was bad.
Oh, wow.
So it can strike, but yeah, you'll know, and just don't keep going up if it's getting bad.
Yeah.
Some of the other things, hot weather. You can think of what that includes if you're exposed to sunlight. High temperatures, often above 100 degrees, can happen during summer days and early fall months. So just drink plenty of water, bring hats, sunscreen, keep your skin covered.
Yeah.
Then the opposite at night, hypothermia can happen if you're there throughout the winter or as the cool air settles in, and if you're wet at night. Some of the symptoms of hypothermia include shivering, memory loss, stumbling, confusion, and sleepiness. People suffering hypothermia often don't recognize they are in danger.
We use hypothermia as one of the reasons why someone went missing all the time, just because it causes confusion.
Yeah, I saw it firsthand in Long's Peak. Someone actually just died there
really?
at the Keyhole. That's right where we were. But we were going through a snowstorm, and two of our group, we split into two groups of two people.
Yeah.
So we don't ever go alone. They went on ahead to set up camp, and we were waiting for one person. And then as we were coming up, they were hiking back.
Yeah.
And they were soaked, and we're like, where are you going? They're like, we're going back to the car. The car is 2.5 days away. And we're like, what do you mean? They're like, we're wet. We're going to the car.
Yeah.
And I said, no, we have to set up camp. You have to put dry clothes on. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we put our dry clothes. So in the rain, they took off their wet clothes and put on their dry clothes.
Yeah.
And didn't set the tent up. Like they were so delirious.
Yeah.
So we had to heat them up, get them some hot cocoa and all that stuff. But you can make really bad, dumb decisions when you're in the early stages of hypothermia.
Yeah. This next one we've never talked about. I've talked about it a few times just for camping.
Yes.
But I figured because it's
Widowmakers.
Yeah, it's just interesting to mention this one.
Yeah, I don't think people think about this. So
No.
trees.
Yeah.
So trees can kill people.
Yes.
Branches and trees may fall whether or not they're dead and whether there is no wind. Animals run in those trees, so if it's a weak branch, whatever, you keep an eyes and ears open. If you hear cracks or snapping, just get away from those types of trees. Don't linger or camp under dead or cracked or broken trees. Those are called widowmakers. So that's where you're sleeping in your camp and a tree literally falls on you.
Every time I set up tent out in the backcountry, I always check.
Yeah, which
what's
way are
above
they
it.
leaning?
Yeah.
You want them leaning away.
Yeah.
Over 100 people die in the U.S. from falling trees and branches every year. Driving the mountain roads. So elevation within Sequoia and Kings Canyon range from 1,300 feet to 1,404 feet. Extreme elevation changes over short distances means park roads are steep, narrow, and winding. Winter conditions may exist at the higher elevations between November and June. So follow these recommendations. Downshift when going downhill. That means you don't slam on your brakes. You want to keep your wheels moving so that you keep traction. Use turnouts if you're driving slow or viewing wildlife. Watch out for wildlife. And fill up before entering the park so you don't run out of gas.
Yep. They don't sell it in the park.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think people, this one I don't think we've brought up. If you're going through the mountains and you're doing a lot of downhill driving, you do not want to use your brakes all the time.
Yeah.
You want to engine brake. And that is where a lot of cars will have pictures of a car going downhill. You can hit that button. And what that does, it downshifts your car and uses the engine rev to slow the car down as opposed to your brakes. Mm-hmm. If you overheat your brakes, they can fail.
Yeah.
And then you have nothing to stop you. And that's where you see those trucks careening down the road and they have to go in those little chutes of sand.
Yeah.
That's what happens when your brakes fail. So you don't want to do that, especially if you're not trained in how to deal with it.
Yeah.
One of the things we do talk about, lightning activity in the Sierras. During the summer months, it is common. Thunderhead seen far off in the distance can be an indicator of impending lightning activity, and you should seek shelter or to lower ground. If you get caught in a lightning event and are unable to seek safe haven, avoid the high locations, wet areas, heavily treed places, and rock ledges or overhangs. You crouch low And using a Vibram or rubber-soled shoes as an insulator, crouching on a foam sleeping pad can also provide protection. And my favorite thing, stick your butt in the air. Stick your butt in the air. So it hits your butt and goes out your legs.
Yeah.
Then it avoids all your critical bodily organs. And then last but not least, any type of river crossing. We have talked about this in the show.
Yeah.
If you're crossing any river, I don't care how shallow it is or how small it is, unless it's something you can like hop over entirely, assume there's an undercurrent and something that could take you away. So you always want to be holding on to something. You don't want to just go in raw, and you definitely don't want to be attached to your backpack. You want to have that thing unclipped, maybe hanging over a shoulder so you can abandon it if you get swept away. Backpack and you attached to it, and strainer points equals drowning.
Yeah.
So, and it's cold. You'll get hypothermia, and so rivers and water are very hazardous. So difficulty in general. The hike up the summit of Split Mountain is very challenging. So this thing has 7,444 feet of elevation gain in only 6.5 miles roughly.
That is tough.
That is like very tough.
Yeah.
So it's a 13.7 mile out and back trail that's an average of 11 hours and 49 minutes to complete. So we have it kind of pulled up here. That is I don't know why that just disappeared. Like, that's weird. It's a very tough trail.
Yeah.
Say. Why is it doing that? I'm gonna refresh it. Like, it just half the screen went away. Whatever. So that one is for technical climbers, people that have done this type of stuff before. It is not simple. I think the first, look at that, did it again. I wanted to see what the first comment was on this thing because it was really funny.
I read it. It was
yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
1 star. We could not find the trailhead. So they even says that you can't even get to the trailhead unless you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I read through a ton of the reviews on All Trails, and a lot of the commonalities were the trail is hard to follow due to old cairns, so the trail disappears at times, and there's a lot of tough boulder fields to navigate.
Yeah.
So
those are the cairns that you're supposed to either add to or not touch because they help you navigate.
yeah,
I bet this guy gave us a 1-star rating on our show too because he's an idiot. He rated it a star. I can't find the trailhead, so it's 1 star. So that is kind of a very detailed description of the parks, and Joe is going to talk a little bit about our subject here. We don't have a lot of information on him. This is a very recent case. Less than a month ago, he went missing. Yeah, so Than, I'm going to just go by his last name. Than, he went missing on August 21st, 2022. No remains were found. He was a male, 66 years old. He was 5'2", 145 pounds, had gray hair and brown eyes. He was not prepared to stay overnight. So this is supposed to be a day hike, so he was not prepared to stay overnight. I'm not going to say anything about his preparedness, only because of his abilities in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So his family said he's been hiking for decades, almost 40 years, and had summited some of the world's tallest peaks, including Kilimanjaro, which I also did, Denali, and Akanakunga. I can never say this one right. This is one of the 7 summits. And
where is it?
This one,
Aconcagua.
Aconcagua. I think this is South America. I think because I want to do this.
If you want to look it up, I'll just say that. So Joe said he was very experienced, and he actually attempted Everest twice. The first time in 2005, while raising money for the Children of Peace International, he survived an avalanche while passing the Khumbu Icefall. And the second time on his way from base camp to Camp 1. So he
knows the stuff.
Yeah, and his friends and family said that he was very experienced in the wilderness and knew how to take care of himself. And I would say that, he's summited some very difficult mountains. He's tried Everest twice. That's more than most people will ever do. And survived a crazy avalanche.
Yeah, so he's experienced. He knows more than we do. So
Aconcagua
is in Argentina. So
Argentina.
I was correct.
Okay.
I knew it was South America, but that's as far as I knew. So he has hiked Split Mountain in the past. Did you say that?
I did not.
Okay, so he has hiked it in the past. So he knows the area too. So he's experienced and he knows the area. So he's the type of guy that I want to go into a mountain with.
Yes.
So, all right. Mike, our next partner, has a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because, as many of you know, I got into competitive drinking and was feeling slow and sluggish on training days. I was taking more supplements than I could count, and nothing was helping. One of the fighters at my gym recommended Athletic Greens AG1 daily health drink, and I've never felt better. 1 scoop of AG1 in the morning has me ready to take on Thanos. That's an Avengers reference. By the time I get to the gym. 1 serving of AG1 contains 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens that supports better sleep quality, recovery, mental clarity, and alertness. All things very important in the world of combat drinking. Best of all, it costs less than $3 a day, which from my own experience is cheaper than getting all the different supplements myself. For less than a cup of Starbucks, you can make an investment in your own health that I can personally vouch for. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/EMERGING to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
So, like Joe said, this happened just recently, less than a month ago. So, on the evening of August 20th, 2022, Fan arrived with his 2 hiking companions and camped overnight before their hike. And like Joe mentioned, he met these 2 people through a Facebook group for Vietnamese hikers. So, it is now August, and Joe, he'll be pulling up.
This is why it's doing that. My computer is automatically scrolling to the right by itself. That's why that thing kept happening. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, every time my mouse is there, look at it. I'm just hovering.
Are you sharing all this?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's okay. You can look at all the mountain real fast.
So it is now 4 a.m. on August 21st of 2022, which is a Sunday. And now Joe on the screen has, we've got a lot of pictures from the search and rescue operation. We got a picture of Fan up right now. So like I said, it's 4 a.m., August 21st, 2022. It's a Sunday. Fan and his and 2 others left Red Lake Trailhead to climb the north slope of Split Mountain, which is a Class 2. And for those of you who don't know the classification ranking for hiking, a Class 2 is more difficult hiking that may be off trail. You may also have to put your hands down occasionally to keep your balance. May include easy snow climbs or hiking on talus or scree. Class 2 includes a wide range of hiking, and a route may have exposure, loose rock, and steep scree. So Fan intended to do this just in a day. He was going to go up to the summit of Split Mountain and exit on the same day via the Inyo National Forest at 1 a.m. Like Joe mentioned earlier, he was not carrying any overnight gear. So I don't know that I would try to do a summit like this that aggressive, but you might not be able to if you have all that gear with you for an overnight trek. So, and I don't know if this is the actual picture from him the day he went missing or not. So, SAR officials had made the comment during the search and rescue mission that Fan's itinerary was an extremely challenging one. So, it's not something that normal people would probably try to attempt, but Fan doesn't seem like a normal hiker considering some of the peaks he summited and his quest to get to the top of Everest.
Yeah, look at those peaks. It's just all scree.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, it looks fun and tiring.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. So at around 13,200 feet, one of the members of his party waited about 60 to 90 minutes for Fan and the other party member. Fan ended up waving them on, indicating he would either fall behind, wait for them there, or head down. Ultimately, though, there was no plan made. It is now 3 p.m. on August 21st. Fan, this would be the last time anyone had seen Fan. So Fan was last seen around 3 p.m. The other 2 party members made it back to the car around 3:30 a.m. on Monday morning. Sadly, he was almost to the top when they last saw him, so he was about 2 hours from the summit, or 1,000. He had about 1,000 feet left to go. Fan had also stashed a helmet and jacket at Red Lake and had not returned to pick it up, and the other party members did not see him on his descent. So he did have some gear stashed, which was never picked up, and his members of his party never saw him come back down. So something happened to him. He was last seen, obviously, at 3 p.m. I should have put the location where they saw him. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
But he was only about 2 hours from the summit, and he was only 1,000 feet below it. So something happened in either he attempted to go up further and something happened to him, or he decided he wasn't going to be able to make it, and he turned around. We'll get into theories later, but so it's now Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Ineos Search and Rescue receives a call for a missing hiker at Red Lake Split Mountain. California Highway Patrol searched using high-powered optics while 2 SAR members went to the Red Lake Trail and interviewed the 2 other people hiking with Fan. It is now August 23rd, 2022, which is a Tuesday. Helicopters from the Sequoia Kings National Park searched the area with their high-powered optics and found nothing. Moving fast forward to the next day, August 24th, which is a Wednesday. 4 Ineos Search and Rescue members were inserted via California Highway Patrol H-80, 2 to the point where they last saw him, and 2 to Red Lake. The 2 SAR members that were inserted at the higher point glassed, which is basically just looking for him with binoculars. They glassed the summit, the Timea drainage and Red Lake drainage, and the lake under Mather Pass. There was no evidence of Fan in any of those areas. The 2 searched the descent gully, taking with a party of 3 who had gotten funneled towards the wrong gully, as the 2 other members of Fan's party did on their descent. So both parties were able to turn around and find the correct descent. So even Fan's hiking mates got turned around, and then another group of hikers also got turned around, and Search and Rescue had to help them get back, the other group of hikers. So you can see how easily it is for people to get turned around on this trail, because it disappears. It comes and goes.
Try and pick out a Karen in this.
Yeah.
It would have to be huge, and if people aren't adding to it or it's not being maintained, it would be incredibly hard to see which way you're supposed to go.
And I've hiked in areas that kind of look like this, but they're more populated parks, and there's usually like a little path of like really finely ground.
Yeah, where everyone's
rock.
been walking for years.
And this is a more remote part of the area where
it's
not
remote,
a lot of,
and it's difficult.
Yeah.
So you're just dwindling the numbers of the people who are going to help contribute to making that path visible.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very tough place to keep the trail. The H-80 helicopter continued to spend the entire day, like I said, we're on the 24th, continued to spend the entire day thoroughly covering the area. The 2 SAR members at Red Lake glassed the area with no evidence of Fan. And I get the feeling that I haven't heard that term used before in any of the searches we've covered. I think part of the reason why they utilize binoculars is because the terrain is so incredibly difficult.
Yeah, you can't go everywhere.
Yeah, I know one of the family members who was speaking about this disappearance said that they had a hard time getting dog teams up there. It's just a really difficult...
Well, and for those of you who are just listening, we're looking at these images, you can see everything.
Yeah.
So with a good pair of binoculars, you can cover the entire side of the mountain. There's
no vegetation.
There's there's trees there,
bit.
kind of, they're little trees, but it's like a single tree, and then 20 feet to the right, a single tree, and then 20 feet to the right, a single tree. They're like peppered in there so sparsely, you can see between them just fine.
Yeah.
So yes, using the binoculars, especially if he's wearing bright colors, he's wearing clothes that don't match the background.
Yeah. So, like I said, they kept glassing the area by Red Lake. They also spoke with one hiker coming down early who also mentioned getting funneled towards the wrong gully. The high elevation of the point last seen and extremely hot weather have been challenging for the helicopter operations and ground searchers, one SAR member had said. Another person on the search described the hike as arduous with an elevation of gain, like Joe said, of 7,500 feet. According to the Sierra Madre search and rescue team, which was assisting the search efforts. They also mention, again, that the trail is not well defined, and there's a number of hazardous cliffs, steep gorges in the search area. So very tough place to hike, a tough place to conduct the search and rescue. It looks like they had pretty good weather for the search, at least the early search based on these pictures. So it is now August 29th of 2022. This is a press release from Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. So they go on the right. Search and rescue teams at Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks continue to work with the Inyo National Forest to try and locate Than. In addition to ground teams and dogs, the team is using infrared imaging and drones. Many people have asked for details about the location where Than was last seen. Split Mountain is on the crest of the Sierra Nevada mountain range in Kings Canyon National Park. Than and his group accessed the area from the roads in the east side of the Sierra, then hiked through the Inyo National Forest, then became separated from his group at the base of the summit. So fast forward to August 31st of 2022. This is a Wednesday. This is another press release from the national park, and this is actually when they suspended the search operation. So they go on the right. For the past 10 days, searches have been underway in Kings Canyon National Park and Inyo National Forest for Than 66 of Newport Beach, California. The search for Than is scaling back to a limited, continuous mode. This means that while searching will continue, the large number of resources and personnel that have been dedicated to this effort will be reduced. The search will remain in limited, continuous mode until Than is found. Searchers have utilized a broad range of search techniques, including ground search and rescue, aerial searches via helicopter and unmanned aerial systems, infrared flights, canine search teams, trail containment, and investigations. Despite these efforts, Than's whereabouts remain unknown. Than's itinerary was extremely challenging, an extremely challenging one, and few other hikers were in the area. Simultaneous searches have been led by Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks and the Inyo County Sheriff's Department with the assistance of the Inyo National Forest, Inyo County Search and Rescue, California National Guard, Sierra Madre Search and Rescue, the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center, Tulare County and Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Yosemite, Death Valley Pinnacles National Park, Civil Air Patrol, California Governor's Office of Emergency Management, and the California Highway Patrol of Inland Division Air Operations. So they had a lot of people out there looking for Than.
Yeah.
I would say this was not a small effort based on the amount of departments involved. And I think it's a massive area. The terrain makes it very hard for searchers to do, some of the more normal searches that we've talked about where they do like a grid formation and they kind of cover every inch of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And, not knowing what direction he went after he was last seen at 3 p.m. at the summit. Did he continue up? Did he go down and turn, go in a wrong direction? So I'll jump right into theories and we'll go.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you say.
So I'll start with what family and friends and some of the search and rescue officials think. So a theory emerged and grew more compelling as time passed. A month prior to Than's hike, a national park employee had personally climbed Split Mountain and encountered a large hole with a massive, unstable boulder at the top. He observed a boulder the size of a car fall into the darkness below. He was quoted saying, "It was so deep he never heard the sound of impact. As rescuers were unable to traverse this chute and reach the bottom, it is one of the only places on the mountain they have not been able to search. The edge of the cliff is close to the approximate place where Than was last seen. Than's wife, family, and friends, and the rescue teams have come to accept that, given the search results, it's likely Than fell into this ravine and lost his life. If this is the case, Than's body will never be found." And there was some even more wild conspiracy talk on the internet about this. And then there was some more measured conversations that it wasn't a hole. It was probably almost a vertical.
But they couldn't see to the bottom of it? Is that the idea?
That I don't understand. There's people, on forums that said they have hiked the summit and have seen something kind of like this. But I just don't understand. if this is what happened, I don't understand if it's just like a vertical ravine or like a very steep cliff, why they can't just go to the base of it and search.
That's kind of yeah.
And if they're an actual hole, why can't they send a drone down or send a camera down with on a rope or something?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to know more info about that area.
So that is really the only theory that I was able to find. And like I said, this case is less than a month old, so it was a little more sparse on information than some of the cases that we cover. But you can look in this Google Earth image. There are some very steep areas where... Try to zoom in.
Yeah, go 3D mode. Yeah, we saw how rugged it was. This is very aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. This saddle's not too bad. I'm guessing that's kind of the approach.
Yeah.
Oh, a little too crazy. But yeah, there's some gnarly spots that you wouldn't want to fall off of for sure.
But I don't understand if it's just a steep cliff or a ravine, why they can't search, at the bottom of it. So I think the theory that he fell is probably a good theory.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel
unfortunately,
I'd say that's the most plausible. Just because of how well you can see everything, and the day they were searching. Let me go back to some of these pictures.
Clear blue sky.
Yeah, it was great day for searching.
So things I can rule out: animal attack. I don't think foul play was involved. This area is incredibly hard to get to, especially where he was last seen. There was only maybe a couple other people hiking up there.
Yeah.
I think if he had some kind of medical emergency near the trail, they would have found him right away. I think
he's kind of wearing muted colors. That might be hard to see.
Yeah.
I thought that blue was a lot brighter.
I think probably what happened was it was 3:00 and maybe he tried to push forward to the summit, but realized I just can't do it today.
Yeah.
And then started to turn around and it started getting dark out and he lost the trail. And those other hikers.
If you were here at night,
yeah,
you wouldn't be finding anything.
No, that's why you'd have to camp the night and wait till sunlight. And then I'm guessing he got turned around, was way off trail, and fell down one of these very steep cliffs. And somewhere where they weren't able to find him, maybe he got covered up in debris as he was falling. He maybe triggered other rock falls that covered him.
Yeah,
look how much loose. If you scroll through some of those pictures,
go back.
Yep,
no, that's good.
Yes, if you look through these pictures, look how much loose rock is around.
Yeah.
So you got to think.
There's one that I saw that really illustrate this.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a dump.
Yeah.
You see a garbage dump. The scree is so bad it looks like it's garbage from far away.
It wouldn't take much. Maybe he was hiking near the cliff edge and he stumbled and tripped over a couple rocks, and he fell, and then those rocks started falling. It triggered other debris falling down, and perhaps he was covered up, which is why the searchers weren't able to find him.
To me, that's the off the deep end.
Yeah,
I'm serious. Your original theory makes the most sense, but this is so open.
Yeah,
it's so open. The craziest theory would be some 1 in a million. He fell with rocks and he was buried.
Yeah,
because I don't even see how logically that would happen, but that makes the most sense.
Yeah,
outside of it's aliens is off the deep end.
There's a chance he made it down farther than people think, and he got lost once he got into the Inyo forest. Because remember, he would have to get all the way down Split Mountain and then hike all the way through the Inyo National Forest to get back to their car. Yeah. So,
he's experienced enough. Maybe he would do that. I don't know.
But he had a jacket, at least, at Red Lake.
Where's Inyo Forest? See how, because look at how sparse that is.
Yeah. So he had a jacket at Red Lake that he never went to get. So you'd think if it was laid out and cold and he's coming back down, he would at least
a different spot. Sorry. He
would at least stop and go get his jacket. You know, anything is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to believe that
there's no forest around here. Like this spot over here.
Yeah, and the Inyo National Forest is more to the east.
Yeah.
So far away, if you zoom out.
He's not that far. No way. Where did it say the trailhead was?
Red Lake.
Red Lake.
If you go to All Trails, it might show you.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct in that. I just want to see right. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so even if you started going back this way, look at there's not a lot of vegetation here at all.
And Red Lake was where he had a helmet and jacket stashed.
Yeah, if he got down here, you're following the creek. You can do that at night. If you get down to this creek, you're fine.
Yeah.
If you're in the mountains, actually, you get to this lake, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all connected, and this is easy. This would be quote-unquote easy. I've just been in mountains like this, and if you have a lake that's streaming down, and it's that open,
yeah,
that's not a difficult one, and you're not going to get lost.
And we're making some assumptions on his.
Yeah,
we know that he hiked this area before, and he's an experienced climber. We're making some assumptions that means he's experienced. He has experience, like survival experience.
Okay, so there's a trailhead. Yeah, so I didn't even look at that fully. So he's coming up here, all the way, and they go kind of up this ledge.
Yeah,
all the way to the top. That's very doable. And they said they were 1,000 feet from the top, so he's probably up in this
2 hours to the top.
So probably in this region here.
Yeah,
would be my guess, because this is pretty gnarly. This would take a while.
Yeah.
So maybe even up to like where the snow is. I can't see how he'd get lost without falling in some sort of cave.
Maybe he decided to continue. From what I read, basically, if I don't want to get this wrong, but I think people are saying
we're doing theories. So I mean,
people are saying that if
this is pretty
if
steep.
you can't get to the summit by 3 p.m., you got to turn around.
Yeah, this part would take a while right here.
Maybe he attempted to get to the summit. Maybe he made it up there, but it was getting too dark out, and he tried to come back in the dark.
But the other people were ahead of him.
Yeah, they would have seen him.
They would have seen him
come up or down.
I don't know. It's like literally, I think your boulder cover is the off the deep end. I think there's probably a cave or some hole if you went off too far off trail and just fell down too deep.
Yeah.
Maybe broke a leg and then no one could hear him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the most plausible thing that happened, is just fell somewhere that they can't see him.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think we can't verify that this theory about this hole that this giant car-sized boulder went down. And a lot of people online were skeptical of that. Theory.
Not hitting the bottom. That doesn't sound. I mean,
a
even
car-sized boulder, you're going to
hear it hit
eventually.
Yeah, it's going to cause a lot of disruption.
My guess is it was just a really steep drop-off that this boulder went over. So yeah, based on how little foot traffic this area gets and how rugged and remote it is, I don't know. It could be a long time before his remains are maybe found. And if my theory is correct that he maybe got covered up by debris caused by his fall, he may never be found. Which is sad. You want closure, but it's just an interesting.
It's a wild one because it's so visible.
It's a wild one, and I think it's so recent. I thought it was an interesting case, and I figured getting more exposure for the case, because the family really wants to find him. It sounded like he was a great guy. He started his own charity for something to do with children, and everybody said he seemed like a really nice guy. So who knows? Maybe somebody will find him.
Yeah.
At some point.
We can only hope, I think. That's for sure.
So,
all right. Well, I think those are our theories off the deep end, all the things. So,
yeah.
Well, thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate you all for listening and sharing Locations Unknown with your friends and family.
Join Patreon if you want to hear our crazy Bigfoot episode.
Yes, our crazy Bigfoot episode is coming up next. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have the YouTube channel that you can subscribe to for our show. You can get the video content as well. If you want to support us monetarily, you can visit the Facebook store and buy some cool swag or go to our website. Otherwise, you can donate to Patreon, as we said, get the extra episodes and access to the swag. You can also join the subscriptions on YouTube, and soon Apple subscriptions. We will also have the other episodes playing. And just remember, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.